strings louder.
What's going on, guys? July 8th, and before we get into all of the news for the day, if you have any questions that you want to send my way about anything in regards to health or conspiracies or just personal questions that you might want an extra perspective on, go ahead and shoot them my way via YouTube message, and I'll scroll through and I'll do some more of those Q&A videos for you guys because they're a lot more off the cuff, a lot more low key, and I get to talk to you guys a little bit more doing that, not just all of these news videos that can kind of get time consuming and whatnot. So shoot them my way. I'll make some more videos for you guys about your questions. Anyway, in regards to this, we got a lot of stuff going on. First, of course, we have the G20 summit that's ending over in Germany. Trump and Putin met for the first time, and they took what probably is going to be the most analyzed photograph ever of their handshake, but all seems to be well from their meeting. It went far longer than they originally planned. I think they originally planned just like 20 or 30 minutes, ended up going for a couple of hours, and it seemed to go pretty well. So we had a ceasefire agreement reached between Russia and the United States in Syria. This is effective today. And then we also had, a lot of stuff. Again, kind of what I've said for the past couple months on this channel is that I think Trump and Putin are working together a lot more closely behind the scenes than they can lead us to believe on the public surface. So the ceasefire agreement in Syria is a good thing. I believe there was also some talk about like the Russia meddling thing, but there wasn't too much tension between the meeting and there wasn't too much buddy-buddy camaraderie between the meetings. So I think they both had to put essentially their poker faces on for this meeting, so keep that in mind. But this was the big story of the day yesterday, in my eyes, and that was Donald Trump tweeting about John Podesta. And what he had said, what this tweet says, is that everybody here is talking about why John Podesta refused to give the DNC server to the FBI and the CIA. Disgraceful. Donald Trump tweeted that yesterday morning, and let's be real, I don't think everybody at the G20 summit is talking about John Podesta. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't think so. But the fact that Donald Trump would tweet this and would tweet specifically about John Podesta yesterday is crucial, and especially on the date, big occult significant date for the New World Order or the Deep Staters, whatever you want to call them, and who is the one person that could really get behind bars and lead to the downfall of all the other dominoes in the deep state? That's John Podesta. So I'm sure that he is probably shitting his diapers right now, thinking that his time is getting very narrow. And he even tweeted to Donald Trump back, called him, hey, whack job, and pulled over. Apparently, he pulled over to the side of the road. He was taking like some kind of road trip yesterday when Donald Trump tweeted about him. Pulled over to the side of the road and wrote a quick op-ed for the Washington Post about this whole situation because, of course, he's running scared and he's got a lot of covering of his ass to do. And the Washington Post, being one of the CIA corporate rag outlets premier, remember, because Amazon bought the Washington Post back in 2013 with $600 million CIA dollars. And then they recently hired John Podesta after the whole Pizzagate scandal. So they're really trying to clamp down, bring things tight, and of course cover their ass because they know that their time's ending. So that was big news. We'll see what more happens from that. And then lastly here, North Korea continues their provocation. So a couple of days ago, they fired off this giant, what was called a brand new missile. So in response to that, the United States sent 2 B-1 bombers very close to their borders, and they took off from Guam, flew real close to North Korea to basically send a message to them. So again, in regards to North Korea, I think this is a deep state proxy country, proxy army, proxy faction that they're using to try to create war in any which way they can. They know, the deep state knows they're not going to get war between Russia and the US. Now they're trying with North Korea. They can't really try with ISIS quite as much anymore, even though they're trying, but ISIS is really getting backed into a corner. So this is, you know, one of their last little cards that they're trying to play, but it's not working. So anyway, in regards to everything going on around the G20 and the last few days, good stuff there. Lots of good stuff, especially this right here. So let's hope that that guy ends up behind bars real soon. And then in regards to the Air Force Space Corps, this is interesting. Remember, I reported on this just a few days ago, but I saw on front page CNN today, they said Congress and the Air Force are in a space war. So apparently some people, primarily in the Air Force, are not happy that this new, essentially, branch of the military is getting created. Remember, the Marine Corps was created out of the Navy, and the Space Corps is essentially getting created out of the Air Force. Now, the Air Force and even the administrator of NASA is not happy about this. Well, why would they not be happy about it? Of course, there's all of their superficial or kind of lame reasons as to more bureaucracy, yada yada, but what I'm seeing here is that the Air Force doesn't want their secret toys to get exposed. Remember, we've got a supposed disclosure of a lot of stuff going on. And in regards to the Air Force has always been that front organization to hide essentially the secret space program with. They came out with their Project Blue Book nonsense in the 50s and called all UFO sightings swamp gas or weather balloons. So the Air Force has always been used to lie to the public. Now, what's going on is that the Air Force, I mean, it looks like with this new Space Corps being created and this new National Space Council also being created, is that we are being set up for potential disclosures to occur. And I don't think the Air Force is very happy about that. So they're complaining about this, but, you know, from here, we will see what comes of all this. And then Mike Pence, you know, what was really interesting to me yesterday that seemed pretty small, but I think there might be a hidden message behind that, is that he ignored NASA's do not touch sign, right? And he was actually photographed touching the equipment. Now, this could have just been some joke, like he kind of played it off as being. He blamed it on Marco Rubio, who said that it was a dare for him to touch the equipment. Who knows? But, again, at this level, and when you know, look at the world events and people at this high of power, everything is scripted. Everything is very specifically done. So for him to touch the equipment, maybe this was a kind of hidden message to NASA when it said do not touch, right? Maybe this whole Air Force and NASA secret space program is a do not touch area. I mean, it has been for 80 years, and now Mike Pence, who is head of the National Space Council, of all things, is touching, right? Interesting. Interesting little double entendre there. So maybe certain factions of an alliance are going into territory that was never touched in the public domain before. Speculate on that. Anyway, into Antarctica here, a few things that have gone on there the past few days. On the 4th of July, there was another energetic anomaly that took place there, and it was in the same area as the previous ones have. Remember, I think one occurred in April, I think another one occurred in late May or early June, but there's these weird energetic anomalies that have been emanating from Antarctica right below South America. This one was another one, seemed to occur in one of the very same regions there, but this one was a little different. It wasn't kind of the wave pattern, what looked like the microwave patterns from the last couple. This one seemed to flow with the weather patterns. So it was a little different, but much of the same. So again, who knows what this is pointing towards, whether it's evidence of the Earth's magnetic poles shifting, maybe. Maybe it is evidence of a behind-the-scenes space war going on. Who knows? But that was very interesting. And I'll post a link to a video by Dabu, which I saw him cover this in. So go check that out. It's how it looks is really interesting. It pops up and then it just kind of shifts away in the weather patterns. So check it out. And then what was also really interesting is that the cover of July of this month's edition of National Geographic is going to feature Antarctica. We know there's a lot of stuff that we're not told, the public is not told about Antarctica. Secret bases being down there, possibly ancient ruins being hidden under the ice, lots of stuff that has gone on in Antarctica that we're not told about. And we're also told that some of the first disclosures about, the secret space programs and the various truths of what have gone on this planet for thousands of millions and billions of years could involve Antarctica, the very first disclosures. So for them to put the cover of the July edition of National Geographic as Antarctica could be that they are continuously prepping our consciousness for these disclosures. And what's really interesting is that this story that they put in National Geographic was about divers diving under the ice. Now, of course, they didn't, expose any of the secret Nazi bases that we know have been down there or anything else, but again, just really interesting that they would choose this story to be on the cover of this month's National Geographic, especially in regards to all the other disclosures that are potentially being lined up to occur. So there's that in regards to Antarctica. And then the last couple things down here on just GMOs and vaccines, two very important topics for all of us to become familiar with, educate our friends and family about, because we can then, these topics then pave the way for a lot of the other seemingly crazier stuff to be discussed. So, every single thing is connected, every single little thing matters in the long run. So these two topics, still very important, GMOs and vaccines. In regards to GMOs, California officially labeled glyphosate as a cancer-causing ingredient. So Monsanto is obviously not happy about that. But the main, because glyphosate is Monsanto's main ingredient in their Roundup product. And their Roundup product is the, primary product that's sprayed on pretty much all the GMOs. The GMOs like soy and corn are created to be what's called Roundup ready because they can have as much Roundup sprayed on them as basically possible. And in California, that ingredient is now officially labeled as cancer-causing. We've all known that, but the fact that it's officially labeled by a government, it's a cool thing. It's a very cool thing. And next, in regards to vaccines, Italy made news last month about a mandatory vaccination law. Well, I saw that on the yournewswire.com, I saw them post an article about lots of people protesting in Italy about this mandatory vaccine law. Well, I just read on the news that Italy has decided to ease it back a little bit. It's not gone, so the job's not done, but because of these protests, it does seem that the government in Italy has eased up on the law. Not as many of the vaccines are mandatory, and there's less, essentially, punishment for those that choose not to get vaccinated. But again, that's not enough. We need vaccines done for, and wake up, France, because remember, just the other day, France made a nationwide mandatory vaccination law. So looks like France has some protesting to do. And in fact, it looks like everybody around the world has some protesting to do. So this is how I protest. Put, the true information out there for you guys to digest. And you guys can protest by telling each one of your friends and family different truths that they might be ready for. Again, you can't force the horse to drink the water, but you can lead him to it. And you can try to make that water look as tasty as you can. So again, talk to your friends and family about these issues, whatever they're ready for. The more that we expose all this stuff, the quicker that those disclosures and those exposures are going to be. So anyway, that's it for today, you guys. Thank you all for your support, and remember to send me your questions. Take care.